Welcome to Risk and Robots podcast, The Future. Humans and AI better than pure AI.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Risk and Robots. We're gonna jump right in. Pankaj is my partner in crime. Thanks again, Pankaj, for joining. And this will be, I think, I think every conversation is a very interesting conversation. This one, I think, is going to be unique in how we approach AI. So we have Nicos from Attestiv who's joining us, and I think we're going to have a slightly different application of it. But Nikos, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Thank you for having me here again.
Um, we start all of these episodes, Nikos, by allowing our guests to have some space for an elevator pitch. Um, Talk about your background in Attestiv and kind of bring us to the future.
Yeah, so my background has been largely in data protection in the enterprise IT space over the last 20 or so years. I'll leave it at 20, but it's a little bit more. And in my past lives, I was using the cloud to help protect against loss of data, corruption of data, and so forth. And you had a successful company that I started and sold to EMC. And one of the things that we had left on the table at that point was really what's happening with not just corrupt data, but fake data. And we started this new company, Attestiv, at a time when the word deepfake suddenly became a real word. You could create fake videos of people, you could create fake photos, and this new threat just suddenly came into existence. And we saw that there was a need not just for maintaining data integrity, but being able to determine if a photo, video, or document is real or not, or whether it's altered in some way maliciously and through AI. And that's exactly what we do. We provide fraud protection for photos, videos, and documents with a system that works in real time, very suitable for insurance. Any company that processes a lot of photos, videos, or documents, we provide solutions for.
Yeah. And before we hit record, I had made the comment, this might be the ultimate use case to kind of get AI kickstarted in insurance because it's not the insurance company bringing the AI in to perform a function. It's to use AI to protect the insurance company. And so can you talk a little bit or start to discuss how, let's talk about the problem. Is it AI in the deep fake that's a problem, or is it this new wave of generative AI that all of a sudden this has become like a really hot issue?
It really is the generative AI that has kind of created a whole landslide of issues that are hitting industries like insurance. So when we first started the company, we were off doing this, and people knew about deep fakes, but they were always, oh, these crazy hackers are creating videos, and then suddenly, and we started the company. It was about it's a little over 3 years ago we started the company. And from a point of fraud protection, insurance is an industry that's hit with a lot of fraud. I mean, depending on how you measure it, it's 300, 200 billion in the US alone. So it's a very large number. But what happened really this year is these frameworks launched that made it really, really simple to create fake photos. And now it's spreading into fake videos, but essentially it's text to photo, right? I type the type of photo I want. Am I looking for a specific make, model, or a vehicle that has a dent? I can just type it in, and out pops a photo. And not only that, I can take an existing photo and use generative AI to enhance it. So I can put a dent where maybe it doesn't really exist in real life. So what's really happened is this capability has become dirt simple for anybody to use, and insurance, a lot of insurance carriers have finally acknowledged the fact that, hey, this is a problem because we may not be checking for this.
Do we know if do we have you been able to confirm whether this is like you said they couldn't check it, but do we know if in hindsight, yes, some claims have been paid out for fraudulent photos that where AI has affected this, or is it more they're being proactive here?
I think it's still in the proactive stages. Right now, it's something that started to happen this year. So what we're seeing, what we've seen traditionally, is photos get altered. People might take photos of screens, or they might take screenshots, screen captures where, this vehicle that they're claiming doesn't belong to them, or we have a renter's insurance company where they just go to the internet and pick what items were stolen from their
Mm-hmm.
home. They just download them from Google, and they say, here's my claim, and all of these really expensive items got stolen, and well, they're gone. So we've seen cases like that that have been done. So certainly the Photoshops, we're a little bit of the realm of the more artistic types who can really put something nice together. But again, with these new frameworks, it's all child's play. So it essentially gives everybody the opportunity to become an expert at altering photos.
Yeah. How does the technology work? Like how some of I'm amazed at some of it's obvious. Like I look at some art and it's just like that's AI. Like you can just sort of tell. Man, the first time I saw one of those videos where they take a avatar, I had to really, really focus to see like it was just so realistic. What are some of the telltale signs? Like, of course, you don't have to give trade secrets, but I'm wondering, man, how can you tell if something's been doctored?
Well, it's getting harder and harder. So, if you see some of the early photos from these, I mean, they all use these generative adversarial networks, and they create these fake photos. And what happens is typically they leave out some details, like someone has six fingers on their hand, and you say, "Well, hey, wait, this can't be real," or some very obvious things are missing. The background looks off, but they're just getting better and better. Typically, when you take a photo, it has a very consistent, I call it a noise pattern, right? Is if you look at a picture, the noise shouldn't really vary that much across. And by noise, it's something that can be detected through a fine-grained analysis. It's not something that can really be detected through the human eye. But think about the way these frameworks work is they often kind of assemble things from the internet. Think of like a chat GPT or assembling. Well, the photo frameworks kind of work the same. So they're assembling different things, and they are not they don't have the same characteristics of a photo, and through what we call a deep scan detection, that's what we can figure out, and we can come back with a response relatively quickly, whether this is fake and what the probability it is of being fake. But again, as these networks are becoming more and more advanced, it's very hard to tell just with the naked eye alone.
Yeah. Pankaj, you want to say something? You're on mute, by the way.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Nico, I had a question for you on this topic, right? This has fascinated me for a while. Earlier it was easier, like you said, to figure out those fake photos and fake videos, but like that quality of the deepfakes now is so much better that it is almost real, right? Whether it's been used just to, shame someone in a personal relationship,
Mhm.
it could be used in a office setup, right? Professional setup to, maybe competitive peers or something. Politics is a big
Oh,
area where, it's
sure.
just, I want to know who's policing out there against that all these years, right? And where is that state of policing now?
Yeah, well, it really hasn't been as big of a problem, right? It's sort of in the realm. It's been in the realm of sort of the expert hackers who could do that. Insurance companies, they tend to have their special investigations unit, and they do look at things, and they do have some capability to examine the metadata, do some kind of deep analysis that may take minutes or hours of a photo, but they have to be done on more of an individual, very discrete and offline basis. So if you're processing thousands of claims per month or thousands of claims per day, well, how do you do that? And that's where the only way to really fight this is with, you're fighting AI with AI. So we are bringing an AI solution that recognizes these types of altered photos, and it does it in seconds. So, so what's really needed is a new framework that comes in and can plug into your existing processes and just gives you a score, right? Hey, this has a high probability of being altered. This has a high probability of being generated by AI, and then you can take it offline. But the rest of your claims that don't have these types of attributes can be processed as before, and they can even be processed in an automated fashion. But who's policing it? That's sort of it's a jungle out there, right? I mean, you tune into the news, you see war photos, and you don't really know whether it's real.
Yeah.
And oftentimes there's a lot of back and forth, and people still don't really know what's going on. So what you really need is you need these frameworks. You need the detection capability that can tell you with a certain level of confidence that this is fake. Otherwise, yeah, you're left guessing, and I think it puts a lot of people and a lot of businesses in a bad position where they're subject to this type of fraud.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say that the direct use case that comes to my mind is I had this recent, car damage, and I, filed the claim completely online. It was just, the photos and the videos that I submitted that was the kind of the input or evidence of the damage. Now it was another car that had that I had the fender bender with, so they could verify going to them. But I'm just thinking, what is stopping me from knowing that, look, an insurance company, chances are that the damage is less than $5,000. They'll just not even assign an adjuster to go out there and verify. And like, I'll just use Chat GPT to come up with, hey, make up videos and images supporting a $4,800 damage, right, for my car policy. And what you're saying is that the only way for the insurance company to figure it out is for them to have the technology that can look at whatever is evidence is provided to then come back and say, no, this is fraud, right? That there is a chance, there's a great chance this is AI generated. So now, flag it, and now you want to talk to, okay, who else saw it, blah, 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 whatever. But to me, there is a cost to that, right? For every time, if you keep the cost of the claim low, then there is the threshold, right? Insurance company has to decide, do I put in my resource into it or just give in and just write the check off, right? What is cheaper for
Mhm.
me? What are your thoughts on this use case? I don't know, Nick, I'm interested in your thoughts as well.
Yeah, the cost is super important. So you have to keep the cost low. You don't want this to be sort of an analysis on the side when you've already identified something as suspicious, because then you're probably missing a lot of stuff that's just going through it. It's not something that you want to use for random checks. It's something that you want for every photo. So it has to be fast. And I think the good news there is cloud scale exists. There are GPUs out in the cloud. GPUs are getting faster. You've got multiple tens, hundreds of cores, GPU cores out there that can process these things all simultaneously. So the technology is there. So you can make this fast. You can make it operate at scale. And I think that's the key. We couldn't solve this problem 3 years ago. Of course, the problem never existed 3 years ago either. But yeah, if it did exist 3 years ago, we wouldn't have had technology that could do that. But as a result, particularly with all of the GPUs that are being used for AI to generate the fake photos, can be used as a framework to protect against this type of fraud.
I mean, Pankaj, I think that's a very legitimate concern, right? Like if given the use cases that Nikos has just kind of delivered, right? Um, the tools aren't necessarily saying like this is fraud. It's saying it's giving ranges of probability around that. So yes, it's likely that there will be thresholds set, and if it meets particular thresholds, then it'll go, human will kind of investigate it. Um, that that could throw a serious wrinkle into how insurance companies think of this, especially for stuff like auto, where it's like there's a lot of claims. They need to process these things quickly. Um, Things can't be hanging around undergoing investigation, especially if it's a $2,000 claim, $3,000 claim. They're going to want to just close those as quickly as possible. So I think the challenge gets thrown over to Attestiv and folks like Nikos. It's like you have to keep the technology evolving so it's faster and cheaper, so they can do every single claim. Um, Man, I would be concerned for that we can't solve this in a realistic way, and we have to go back to human adjusted claims, right? Like we were just getting into like everything's now virtual. Imagine if we have to go back, like the insurance companies just don't trust what is happening and say, we got to go back to, you got to bring the car in, have someone inspect it, kind of thing. That'd be unfortunate. But Nikos, I was talking to a technologist friend of mine, a neighbor, and I was telling him about this conversation we were going to have. And man, he was so dire because he was like, oh yeah, I'm having a conversation about AI that checks for AI. He's like, well, that's not going to last because those AI tools are going to teach the original AI tools how to get around the AI. And now, like, is this going to require layer upon layer of AI to kind of, as a security, to check to see? It's almost like it's confusing.
Yeah,
Just
no,
the size of the problem and how it could expand.
well, look, it's a bit. Admittedly, it's a bit of a treadmill, right? You're continuing to chase this, and it's evolving at the same time. So you're constantly refining. So you have to refine the models. The AI is improving, and we have to continue to chase the next version. So DALI or Stable Diffusion, they roll out new versions. We run them oftentimes we can determine this is AI. Sometimes there's a little bit of a monkey wrench where we don't, and then we have to go back and retrain and figure out that, hey, okay, this is slightly different. They've made some improvements, but we can, there hasn't been a framework that we haven't been successful in, but it does require sort of this constant chasing, and just like any cybersecurity realm, and I think it takes us closer to that cybersecurity realm where you're fighting viruses, and of course there's always the new virus which sort of finds a way to get through the virus scan until the new version of virus scan is out, but that's really the battle that we're fighting here. Now there are some efforts for some of the photo companies like the Adobes of the world to put in standards, and then there is a standard called C2PA where the authors or the creators of the photos can identify that this was created via AI, but that sort of requires an honor system, right? So, and it's great if Adobe does this, it's great, but then what happens with, when the hacker takes some open source and does it, obviously they're not going to leave any traces behind like that in the metadata. So while that's sort of the self-policing solution, in practice, it doesn't work, because if I'm an insurance company, I have no idea where the photos are coming from. I don't know if they're coming from good actors or bad actors.
Yeah, Nikos, it almost seems like the insurance companies, or Pankaj, I'm thinking of Curtis and the national inspection, right? We'll have to build technology within the inspection app that has the ability to capture metadata and also tell you if the metadata has been altered or anything like that. Like it does sound like this is gonna be more like cyber. Like we will have a perpetual and continuous effort, because the bad actors will just keep poking and prodding, trying to find, where's the back door that we can enter in and wreak havoc for the short period of time that we can.
Yeah, and speaking of Curtis, we're actually working with him, so he does the underwriting inspections. So we are, we've been working with him for a few months now, but it's definitely, again, a problem that a lot of insurers and providers have woken up to recently, is that we have to do something. And also, once you have something in place and you have a company behind it that's constantly evolving and catching any new changes to the AI that generates photos, over time, it also serves as a deterrent, which says, hey, maybe I'm not going to do this because there is a framework in place, and the chances that I get through that framework are very slim. So that's really the goal here, is to create something, and we're dedicated to solving this problem, which is a real problem. But and a lot of it's interesting. A lot of companies are coming to us and saying, well, we need to work with a company that's dedicated to this problem, because we can't have just an engineer on the side trying to figure this out once every few months.
Just like cybersecurity.
Exactly.
Yeah. Pankaj, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask Nikos, because one of the things that I'm continuously, we all believe in AI and generative AI and how it's gonna, just the adoption is gonna keep improving, keep getting better, both on the personal life side and the the business context. But there's also the counter view that there is a hype cycle to it, right? That there is it's not really as big a deal as it's made out to be. And I just wanted to know your perspective, because I think you've been in this area for so long that you've seen the technology evolve, use cases evolve, impact evolve, right? Especially because you're coming at it from how do I detect fraudulent use of AI, right? So what do you have to say to that?
Well, I think there are still limitations, where we are today, but of course the sky is the limit there. No, I don't believe it's just a hype cycle, unless something changes. AI, generative AI is evolving very rapidly. These frameworks are getting smarter and smarter. Can they replace an agent on the phone? Can they replace somebody handling a claim? Possibly, right? I mean, it's gotten to the point where these frameworks can certainly say the right things. No, so I think there'll be a place there. I mean, ultimately, I don't believe they can, I don't believe they can replace certain human tasks. But on the other hand, it seems as though, we're at the very beginning of this cycle, and there's going to be a lot more coming than just what we know today.
It sounds like maybe it's a good way to end the conversation as well. Like we've been talking about insurance. Sounds like the technology is potentially has a lot of use cases outside of insurance as well. Like I think this is just going to be a endemic problem across the board, regardless of like, is this thing we're looking at real or is it fake? How do we tell? And we're just going to need a bunch of technology that's going to be able to do that. Have you guys thought about the applications outside of insurance?
Oh, absolutely. We just signed up our first broadcast media customer, and their concern was, hey, this isn't just this is a problem for us if we're showing fake photos or fake videos, and we're broadcasting them as news. It's our reputation on the line.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a big
It's a
one.
much
Or
bigger it's a big problem. You can take
yeah.
down you can take down the reputation of a whole company that way. So
Or liability.
yeah,
You know,
certainly, yeah.
both.
From a liability perspective, yeah. Is there deep fake insurance? Maybe that's a
I don't
Startup
think so.
maybe that's an opportunity for someone. Uh,
Yeah.
maybe if you have a test of your rate will go down too.
Way to go.
Risk prevention before risk transfer. Nick and I always believe in that. So yeah, it's
Way, way to go. I mean, I think we hit on like some really important topics, and it's just it's that's the scary part is like we know it's going to happen. We just don't know exactly how or how quickly or how advanced these things are going to get in a particular time period, but it's already scary, right? And I think that's what's for a lot of folks, it's unsettling what has happened. But the good news is that there are folks like you. Now we just got to make sure, like, is this video real? Is this the real Nikos, or is this some generative AI?
Exactly. I mean, everybody's using virtual backgrounds. I mean, pretty soon we'll have the virtual foreground and we'll have no idea. We'll have no idea if you're talking to a real person. I mean, that's a use case that a prospect came to us with is, hey, we need to figure out people on these Zoom calls are real. And this was a bank. So yeah, I think 2023 is the year where all of this suddenly became real, and 2024 we'll see what it holds.
Wow,
yeah.
fantastic.
I'm waiting for the day, Nick and me, it's our bots who are doing, Risk and Robots podcast. I think to me that would be what a
Wait,
culmination, right? For the
You'll be
podcast
able to, well, on
series.
the plus side, you'll be able to churn out a lot more of these. You know, on the
Listen,
downside, they might start all saying the same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
listen, authenticity sells, and there's no doubt, like, I'll just throw in my Boston accent every once in a while to trip the AI and let Nikos and Pankaj know it's the real Nick. Here's my secret handshake.
Yeah,
It's the real deal. We're probably gonna have to do something like that. Like do a
yeah.
sign, like
Yeah,
something to kind of, hey,
yeah,
on
no,
this episode, we're
you're
gonna go like this. This is to tell you this is the real Nick.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's some type of gesture.
So
Awesome.
marvelous. Nikos, again, thank you. It's good to know that I don't know. It's good to know that there's a proactive measure that we didn't wait. We didn't wait until like the problem became like a real big financial issue that there are concerned folks out there who are bubbling up particular use cases, and there's a firm like yours that's going ahead and saying, "Well, we can tackle that. We know how to do that." So makes me feel a little bit better.
Oh,
Yes.
great. It also, it makes me feel better that we're here now because we were always a little ahead of our time, and I think now we're just in time.
Just in time. Just in time. Okay. Nikos, thank you. Pankaj, as usual, thank you. And until next time, thanks everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.